Hey everybody, this is Truck Driving Deva. I had to do this quick video real quick and then I'm gonna get up off here for real for real. Let me tell you something. My same so-called friend, he's a truck driver. He always talks about how many years he been trucking. Oh, I've been driving for 20 years. I know about logistics, right? Now, he has been a lease company driver and he have never had his own authority. He have never had to use spot market or external load boards. Okay, now if you don't know the difference between an external and an internal load board, well, let me run down the difference real quick. An internal load board is basically a load board that the company that you're leased to or you lease your truck onto uses for freight. It's inside the company, they have access to it. An external load board is a load board which may be inside of a truck stop, different apps and all of that. Dat Trucker's Edge, external load board. So I just hung up on him, y'all. I ain't about to argue with you. He always want to be right, and I ain't about to argue with somebody who I know don't know what the hell they talking about. So we got a discussion about. He said he sat in Florida, woo, woo, woo. So we were talking about booking loads and load boards, right? So he's like, now there's certain people on the load board that usually they'll accept you with little or no experience under your authority or whatever, and a lot of times you will be paid not what you really need to be, but it's a lower end of payment, okay, just like that. So he's like, well, sometimes you need to be hooked up with them people because it's good to be hooked up to them when you getting freight because they good to have. I said, so why would you be hooked up with some people who's not going to pay you a good amount for freight when you got a whole bunch of other people that might pay you a good price? Like, that don't make no sense. He's like, well, I said, look, that's like going somewhere and you going to look for a job and you going to take minimum wage, but you got other people that's trying to pay you more than minimum wage. It just don't make sense, right? So I've been trucking for 20 years. See, he always want to outdo me. He always want to outshine me. He always thinking he know more than me, right? And like I said, just because you've been truck driving for 20 years don't mean you know about load boards. Don't mean you know how to book yourself. Don't mean you know how to position yourself. Don't mean you know how to negotiate rates. I said there's a whole lot of truck drivers that have been out here 20, 30, 40, 50 years and they still may not know how to do that exactly. I said by him telling me he been driving for 20 years, he trying to discredit my 5 years, but he haven't had the same experiences as I have. He's always worked for a company. When he had his own truck, he always he was leased on, okay? And outside of my experience, I leased on to different motor carriers, but it wasn't like I got the truck from there and all this and all that. And then I eventually got my own authority. So I was on my own, basically. I wasn't nobody holding my hand. Wasn't nobody offering no money to fix anything that went wrong with my truck. Nobody gave me no fuel card. I paid for my own fuel out my pocket. And I paid for the fuel out my pocket. Yeah, I paid for it out my pocket, but he just always wants to be right. So he's like, well, I said, well, why you gonna hook up with the people that ain't gonna pay you more money? So I was like, you know what? And here he go. He always want to fucking argue. And I don't argue with people. I hung up on him, y'all. And every time I tell him, I don't want to talk to him. And so now I'm going to have to do what I don't want to do, is which don't even answer his phone calls no more. I don't want to talk to him no more because he's argumentative as hell. And he always wants to be right. Like I said, certain people that you hook up with is not going to pay you the most amount for the freight because they know that you need them because your authority is new. How do I know? Because I had my authority. And I had lucked up and had end up giving me chances. Like, okay, well, we'll give you a shot. We'll book you some freight, whatever, even though I didn't even have my authority for a long time. You see? So I'm not going to sit there and argue with somebody. I don't care how many years you said you've been truck driving. Now, backing up and stuff like that, okay, I'll listen. But if you ain't did something that I've done, and you gonna try to tell me something about something that I know and experienced, and then you gonna still try to argue me down, we ain't got nothing to talk about, dog. You just want to argue with somebody, and I ain't about to argue with him. And I hung up on him. Like, I was like, yo, I gotta go. Good night, man. Like, I ain't trying, and click. Like, just like that. I just ain't hang up. But I was like, yo, I don't even want, like, yo, I don't even want to talk about it. Because I know, because I'm on these load boards. I was on the load boards and stuff like that. So I know he ain't never, and I asked him, I said, you ever been on an external load board? Nah, but I've been driving for 20 years and I know about logistics. He tried to get all professional. I know about logistics. I said, but you ain't never been on no external load board. So how you gonna tell me something about something that you ain't even ever experienced? He just want to be right, y'all. So I said, you know what? I hung up on his ass, y'all. And that's all I got to say.